Ha. So let's talk about sex or something. I don't know. Maybe you've noticed lately. Maybe you think it's not totally in alignment with my branding, but gosh, McLean keeps posting that stuff about spanking, and it seems to have an odd flavor to it. You've probably seen the event Loving That Ass. Or maybe you haven't. I don't know. By the way, this is my convertible hair. I got my car back, so. um, and I realized today, by the way, that Loving That Ass class is going to be, there's going to be a series of classes for men in the fall. Everything from, how to write a poem and have a great first date, to advanced anal sex techniques. Maybe I'll call that one opening her ass. I don't know. We'll see about that. Anyway, I realized that in all the play that I do in that domain, in any sort of kink or fetish area, or just, playing out a fantasy or role play, that there's a general orientation I have that's very different than most people, and certainly formally trained people. So you'll never hear something like, you're a bad girl and you need to be spanked, or something like that. And I discourage them from saying they're a bad girl. In fact, I like to go to the opposite direction. If they've been slutty, and before we get into, slut being a bad word, I consider it a term of endearment, affectionate even. And it should be a good thing, a woman exploring all of her desires and allowing herself to do that without. Well, to me, it just shows a degree of self-acceptance, and I like to take that word and use it as something that's sexy and fun. Anyway, I also realize that anytime I'm involved in anything like spanking, or that it's about being a good girl. It's about, if she's come home and said that she explored some fantasy randomly, or that she did something that I encouraged her to do, or even tasked her to do, in that kind of dynamic, that kind of role play, then she's a good girl. And it's a little difficult for some people to rectify. Like, well, no pun intended on rectify something. I don't know. But you can see it. You'll know it. You'll know that there's a deep appreciation. There's a sweetness to it, a tenderness, a deep appreciation. Because, as those of you who know me very well know, there's nobody or nothing I appreciate more than a woman's ass, or anybody who appreciates it more, perhaps, than me. So that's demonstrated. It's never about punishment. I like to take that away. There's nothing wrong with exploring those fantasies, by the way. I just noticed that that's not what I do. Here's the interesting part about that. Involved in that is me building in their self-acceptance. So believe it or not, an extended role play, a relationship with an extended role play aspect to it, actually builds self-esteem, which isn't really a surprise, given that it's the primary thing I'm concerned about, people experiencing and building. But it is interesting. There's self-acceptance built into it. There's, you were a good girl for exploring that fantasy without my permission, or with my permission, or in my direction, but you were a good girl for doing it. You're a good girl for doing things that other people would shame you for. And that's part of what this class will implicitly teach, aside from some wonderful technique. All right, I am the McLean, and I'm gonna get dressed and showered and shaved and down to where I'm supposed to be, and come back up to this room and practice my skills for you before the course.